Hello, beautiful. I'm your host, Nicole Goff. Welcome to the Ecstatic Life Podcast, the podcast for women who want to live fully embodied, nervous system regulated, open-hearted, radiant, and alive. Here we explore the practices, modalities, and lived rhythms that return you to yourself, to your heart, to your body, your intuition, and your divine spark. This podcast is for women who are ready to awaken their inner creatrix, activate their inner manifester, and remember, an ecstatic life isn't a destination. It's the path we're walking together. Hello, and welcome back to the Ecstatic Life Podcast. I am your host, Nicole Desiree Goff. I'm here on a solo episode, and I want to talk about the importance of postpartum and the biggest postpartum mistake that I see most moms making. So last night I had a client call a consultation for a birth plan, and my client asked me, how important is postpartum? What are your opinions on postpartum care? And I realized I have not talked about this subject in, I think, over a year. And I veered away from talking about birth as much. My youngest son is 3.5 now, and so maybe it's not quite on my mind as much. And I haven't been taking a lot of clients for birth consultations. So I was like, I think I need to speak about this because this is a subject that I am really, really passionate about. And I think this is a very overlooked aspect of birth that really, really needs our attention. So today I want to talk about how the first 40 days after your baby's born shapes the next 40 years of your life. My passion for this subject comes from the fact that I thought I was doing everything right postpartum the first 4 out of my 5 births. But it turns out I was doing everything completely wrong. Everyone praised me for bouncing back. I praised myself. I was so proud of myself because I was up out of bed hours after birth. I was on my feet, cooking, cleaning, hosting guests, doing laundry, caring for people. People would say to me, wow, you don't even look like you just had a baby. And I took that as a compliment. I didn't realize that actually that was a huge cry for help. I didn't realize that I was hurting myself. I went back to work after my 3rd baby almost immediately, bringing her with me. I worked in a Waldorf school. I put her in a wrap and I went straight back to work. I thought this made me a good mom. I thought that this made me a good person. What it actually made me was chronically sick. I ended up having postpartum depression after my 2nd and 3rd babies. I ended up with pelvic floor issues after my 4th. And with every single baby, except for my last, I had chronic, relentless mastitis for the first 12 months of each of their lives. And if you don't know what mastitis is and you've never experienced it, it is an infection in your breasts that causes flu-like symptoms, your breasts get engorged, milk gets backed up. It's one of the most painful things that you can go through. You get an extremely high fever. You're pretty much debilitated for 24 hours. So I got that about a dozen times, at least once a month, with each of my 4 children. And with the 5th, I got it, I think 3 or 4 times total. So it wasn't that I completely kicked it, but the way I changed how I looked at postpartum definitely helped. And on top of those chronic symptoms that I was having, I was also just exhausted all the time. My nervous system was dysregulated. I was essentially just not okay, but pushing through it every postpartum. Luckily, before my 5th, I learned some ancient wisdom that literally changed everything. And this can be summed up in the saying, the first 40 days for the next 40 years. So why do the first 40 days matter so much? Neuroplasticity. Researchers have found that the first 40 days postpartum is marked by significant brain remodeling and neuroplasticity. And that supports the caregiving, the bonding, and adaptation into motherhood. So literally, postpartum is rewiring your brain, and how you treat it during that 40 days makes a huge difference. And not just for postpartum, for the rest of your life. Most people think that birth is like the finish line, but really, birth is just the beginning, especially if you're a first-time mom. Besides these like massive brain changes that are going on, you're getting flooded with all of these new hormones. There's the nervous system shift, adapting to really being in tune with the nervous system of another human being. There's the identity shifts, which can be massive and are often overlooked. And then there's also the fact that your body needs to heal. There is a gaping wound the size of your baby in your uterus. Where I see Western culture getting things wrong these days is that we put so much emphasis on the birth plan, but nobody seems to make a postpartum plan. In fact, our culture really values bounce back. And that's what I was talking about in the beginning when everyone praised me for being up and about and basically caretaking guests that should have been caretaking me. Visitors are expecting to be hosted by the mom who, as I said, has a giant bloody gaping wound inside of her. So moms are returning to work and housework way too quickly and feeling guilty for resting. This pressure that we experience in Western culture is what I call the supermom identity. You're expected to juggle everything and have this perfect house and look perfect and made up and make everybody else feel warm and welcome and cared for. No matter if you're depleted, no matter if you're in pain, no matter if you are falling apart on the inside. When did we start believing that a mother's worth is measured by how quickly she gets back to caretaking everyone else? And the thing is that was me, my first 4 babies. That was me. I had all this pride in pushing through. And not only was there pride in it, but there was resentment. I wore my self-sacrifice like a badge of honor. And then I would not ask for help that I deeply needed and felt resentful that no one was stepping up and doing the things that I wasn't asking for. And I realize now this was me martyring myself in a culture that puts that on a pedestal. But eventually my body forced me to stop. I would push and push until my body said, get the fuck back in bed, lay down, and rest, in the form of massive onsets of mastitis that would hit me like a freaking freight train. I would have really high fevers, some to the point where I would have hallucinations. I literally couldn't care for my newborn baby during that. My breasts would be hot and red and swollen and would hurt if cloth even touched them. And this happened to me over and over and over. Throughout my mothering years, I probably went through at least 50 or 60 episodes of mastitis, not all of them being that bad, but that many in total throughout all of my babies. But every time I still didn't get the message. I wasn't taking it to heart. I wasn't listening to my body and I wasn't honoring her needs. And what this was costing me, the damage that was done, wasn't just in those 24-hour bouts with mastitis. My nervous system was dysregulated. This was having effects on my marriage too. Like I said, the resentment was so strong. So emotionally, I was totally dysregulated. Like I said, 2 of the babies, looking back, definitely I had postpartum depression. But at the time, I didn't realize this. I pushed through it. Even though I was at such low points, I didn't talk to other people about it. I didn't let them in on what was going on with me. I was also experiencing deep grief that I didn't even have a name for. But I took all of that and I pushed it aside and I put all of my focus on the babies. I put all of my focus on loving them and doing everything for them, getting such little sleep, having zero support, and pouring everything into them. And I thought that's what I was supposed to do. I thought that's what new motherhood was. I was neglecting myself. I was neglecting my body. I was neglecting my needs. And I thought that that was just normal because that's what's normalized in this society. But that's not how other cultures treat postpartum. In India, in China, in Korea, in Japan, there are postpartum windows, and most of them are around 40 days that are honored and are sacred. And it's known that mothers are to be cared for during those windows. Relatives and friends come over with food, help clean the house, show up with love and gifts and support. Different cultures do it differently, but the message is the same. Mothers are also meant to be cared for, not just the babies. And this is so at odds with what our Western culture pushes, which is that you should be strong and just bounce right back, that mothers should just get on with life as normal. You had a baby, so what? Get over it. So for me, my 5th pregnancy changed everything. When I became unexpectedly pregnant with my 5th child, my only son, I honestly hit a breaking point in my life. It changed my whole life. I realized how much I had been martyring myself, and not just in postpartum. This was something I carried into other aspects of my life as well. But then I said, no more. This pregnancy will be different. This postpartum will definitely be different. One of the first and number one things that I did to support my postpartum was I hired a postpartum doula. That was literally life-changing. She came over, she helped around the house, she gave me massages every week, she gave me special herbal baths and brought special teas for me. She was this loving motherly presence and just this touchstone during my postpartum that made it feel so magical and so beautiful and so special. During the 4 weeks that she was caring for me, I did not get mastitis symptoms at all. My mindset shift went from I have to do this on my own, it's my job, to I deserve support, and what do I need to do to get it? So not only did I hire a postpartum doula, I hired someone to come over and clean my house postpartum. I hired someone to come help with the kids. I asked my mom and my mother-in-law to take the kids out of the house the first 2 weeks. And another major thing I did was I set strong boundaries with my husband. He was always the dad that went back to work and went back to his routine and would hold the babies occasionally, but wasn't that hands-on support that I really needed him to be. But during that postpartum, I was like, fuck that. If I needed the dishes done, if I needed the laundry done, even if it isn't normally in his realm, in, his area of chores that he normally takes care of, I was sure as hell going to give him that. And that wasn't out of spite. Not saying anything truly was spiteful. The other times when I would not ask for the help and then feel resentful that he didn't just know to do it, that was where the problem was. Being direct and saying, I need help, I'm out of clean diapers, please do some laundry. That direct communication, that is respectful. And that was such a drastic difference from what I had thought before. But this mindset shift really changed everything. I realized it was okay to slow down. It was okay to ask for help. It was okay to receive. Honestly, I finally let myself be mothered. And that's something you'll hear postpartum doulas talk about. Mothering the mother. And this is something I want Western culture to really, really embrace. It's not just the newborn that needs to be mothered. The mother needs to be mothered as she heals, as she adjusts, as she learns to be a mother or a mother of 2 or a mother of 3 or a mother of 5. As she opens her heart again, her body, she needs to be cared for. She needs to be loved also. So this is what I recommend. Make a practical postpartum plan. And the first step in that is to find your village. Create a meal train. Make a list of people who can be helpers. These can be helpers for childcare if you have older siblings, house cleaning, grocery pickup, meal prep. And this can be people in your neighborhood, people at your church or in your community, friends, family, even relatives from out of town might be willing to fly in to stay with you for a week. That 5th pregnancy, I sent my 3 older kids to their grandma's 3 hours away for a 1-week vacation the first week postpartum. I set this up ahead of time. I set all of my support system up ahead of time before the baby was born. So I didn't have to ask once I was already exhausted. Everyone already knew what their role was. Also, have a conversation with your partner. Explain to him why this is so important. Someone who loves you is going to want to be on board. I just think most dads don't understand how important this is. They don't understand what you're going through. And if we don't let them know, if they don't have that education and that information, then how will they know how to support us? Also include in your plan boundaries to protect your healing. So one rule is the 5-5-5 rule. And this is something that I lived by very strictly with my 5th postpartum. And that is 5 days in the bed, 5 days on the bed, and 5 days around the bed. So the first 2 weeks postpartum, you are not hardly leaving your room. You are staying naked in bed for the first 5 days if possible, only to get up and shower or to use the bathroom, laying down and letting your body heal and skin to skin bonding with your baby. The next 5 days, getting out of bed a little bit, but nothing heavy, not cooking, not cleaning, none of that. And then the next 5 days, so days 11 through 15, getting up around the bed, moving some, but again, honoring yourself, honoring your needs, slowing down, asking for help. You shouldn't be carrying anything heavier than your baby. Also, make sure you've prepped nourishing foods, soups, stews, warming, hearty foods. And make sure you've prepped hydration. I bought a huge case of coconut water. You'll need extra hydration postpartum. I kept that case of coconut water next to my bed. In fact, I had a whole bin next to my bed of my postpartum essentials, which helped me honor the 5-5-5 rule. All of this prep is a lifesaver because let me tell you, you don't want to have to be thinking about these things when you're trying to heal. Having them all ready and set in motion is going to help you stick to this postpartum plan and going to make the whole thing so much smoother. If you need to, you might want to get help with some mindset stuff. I know a lot of us women have been programmed to brush off offers for help or compliments or that sort of attention and say, it's okay, I'm fine. Oh no, you're too sweet. Fuck all that. This is a time to say yes to any offer of support. Forget all those niceties that have been drilled into our head. If someone offers to bring you a dinner, yes. If someone offers to pick up your house while they're visiting the baby, yes. Yes, thank you. I would so appreciate that. Let people love you. This is a gift. This is a gift to them. They want to support you. So if someone offers, yes. And another thing, you don't need to earn rest. This is a time to honor the need for rest. And in fact, even if you don't feel like you need rest, you might be feeling great. You might just be like, yes, I just had a baby and I'm feeling on top of the world. But you still need rest. Honor that need. And one more thing that I would like to recommend is a closing of the bones ceremony. My postpartum doula, after my 40 days, did a closing of the bones ceremony. And I want to say that it is never too late. I grieved my first 4 postpartums during that ceremony, but it was so healing to recognize that. It's never too late. It's never too late to go back and do the healing. I forgave myself for not knowing what I didn't know. I forgave myself for buying into the narrative that was so destructive. And I truly feel that 40 days after my 5th child, went and healed back in time all of those postpartums that I had screwed up so bad. I also know that in sharing this story and in sharing these tips, that I can help other women to not make the same mistake that I did. So if you're pregnant, save this video, write down the tips, look into a postpartum doula, or if you know somebody who's expecting, send this to her today. If you want to go deeper on postpartum, I have a video that I recorded in my podcast way back like a year or so ago in season 1. You can go check that out. You can check out auroraholisticbirth.com, which is my pregnancy, birth, and postpartum consultation site. Or you can reach out to me. I'm available at Nicole Desiree Goff on all social media. Also, Aurora Holistic Birth on Instagram. And I would be so honored to sit down with you and help you create a postpartum plan. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a review. It helps this channel so much, and I'm trying to grow and I'm trying to monetize. So pass it on and help me make Ecstatic Life a household name. I love you all so much. Until next time, bye. Want to dance with me? Go deeper with me? Have me in your back pocket, literally? Join the Ecstatic Life Academy on the Go Collab app, link in show notes.